Don Cheadle, the Oscar and Emmy nominated and Golden Globe winning actor, plays Morris Monroe on Black Monday on Showtime. I'm at Noble Gold Derby, here to ask you, Don, what is the wildest thing that they've gotten you to do on the show?
I think it's easier to talk about what haven't I done that's wild on the show. Yeah, Mo is a live wire. Mo is a live wire, and that's what's actually great is that every week on the show they push the boundaries, and we have an opportunity to do something that is crazier than the week before. And I think that kind of really is the attempt to keep sort of pushing the boundaries as far as we can go and see what we can get away with these characters, with the show, with this time period. You know, taking advantage of all of that. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, very much so. There's so many different tones that the show juggles, from drama to mystery to comedy. Which do you find the most challenging to try to balance?
Well, I think that's the word, is finding the balance between all of those different genres. I think it would be a lot trickier if we didn't have the cast that we have and the writers that we have and the producers that we have and really the sort of sensibility that the show takes on. I don't have any problem kind of moving between all of those different things. And I think the show is very facile at pulling off all of those different sort of facets of these storylines. But again, I think it's attributable to the cast and the writing. I've never minded kind of going back and forth between those kinds of things in any sort of a show or any sort of anything, you know, TV, movies, a play. If you believe the characters, if you're with the people that you're watching, they can take you everywhere. And when I watch the show, it doesn't throw me off if we're in a very sort of a down moment, and then that's immediately undercut with something ludicrous, because, you know, we think about our lives a lot of times and that's what's happening. You know, we're in these very heavy moments, and then something bananas will happen, and you're like, "Is this real?" But it's really what happens. So, I think the trickiest thing, though, to pull off is the sort of whodunit and the mystery that we try to sort of arc over the course of each season. Of, you know, these longer storylines, especially season one with, you know, who is it that's falling out of the window with the Rolex on?
Yeah. And what's your favorite moment from the series?
Oh man, I just have so many. There's it's really hard to pick one. This season has been a lot of fun because we've had a lot of great guest casts come in. Dule Hill and I get to, you know, have a dance off to My Prerogative, and that was kind of fun, absolutely fun. The Halloween party episode is crazy. Paul Scheer running around in a big plant prosthetic. So there's just been a ton of things. We're very ambitious in what we're attempting to pull off in 5 days, which is an insane schedule. And with a budget that, you know, for this kind of show isn't that high. So we really kind of push it to the limit, and we're very fortunate to have, you know, partners with Showtime and Sony to help us kind of realize these big ambitious things that we're trying to do.
Yeah. What do you love about this cast, and what can you think of a particular scene maybe where there was just magic where you were playing with this cast?
Well, anytime all of us are together and we're just kind of bouncing off of each other, that's the most fun. And you know, like I said, this Halloween episode that we do this year, where everybody is in costume and it's real, you know, sliding doors, everybody's flying in and out. It feels in a lot of ways like a play, especially when we're doing those that are all contained in one big set. And we're those, you know, container shows, and we're just kind of bopping in and out. But that's a lot of fun. The boardroom that we had earlier, when Mo returns with Ken Marino, and Paul and Regina and Andrew, everybody, you know, had a lot to do, and Lester and Horatio, everybody was in that. Everybody has a lot to do. And that's when it's really chugging, I think, is when we all get to sort of bounce off of each other, and it feels very kinetic and very alive. Also, Mo's the episode that we'll see where Mo is sort of scheming on how to get them all back together, the finale that's coming up, it was also a really satisfying episode.
Yeah, I think like it's so fun when we see everyone together in season 2 is that everyone apart for at least the beginning, a lot of the characters were split up and now everyone's coming back together with different motives. And I think it's an interesting thing of the show, the hand you're showing and the hand you're holding.
Exactly.
What's been your favorite sort of secret of Mo's to sort of be hiding?
Well, can he tell his secret now? Can Don tell Mo's secret? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Mo is a bit of a Don Draper in ways, he's is he Mo? Is he Roland? That he's got this past. I think that's the best part or the most fun part this year is that we've been able to bring that back and have that backstory impact this story with Zosha coming back as the FBI agent. We've been able to really kind of bring all of these things back in play again, which is a lot of fun. To not only have these characters back, but to have these storylines back and have them impact it going forward. Things that we didn't know, and I think things that the writers didn't know, they always attempt to, at the end of the season, just throw all the puzzle pieces up in the air and then come back the next year and go, okay, now what can we do? Can we put this thing back together? And I think that makes it kind of feel like a high wire act. And I think it gives the show a lot of its energy.
Is there, speaking about that energy, and definitely, like, one of the great things about Black Monday is it's sort of unashamedly a comedy, and it's such a funny show at times. What is your, what scene maybe filming did you find the hardest not to break in, or that you just thought was the funniest scene you've done?
Well, I mean, the bank episode was, sort of our tipping our hat to, Michael Mann and the whole Miami Vice aspect. And it was fun to sort of take that milieu and treat it completely ridiculously. You got two guys on rollerblades behind us that are the henchmen, and it was just a ridiculous scene. But again, a very, very difficult sequence and things to pull off. Hats off to Ian, who shot that, fellow countryman of yours. He did an amazing job. But things like that, the fact that the show can play with the risks is to see, a lot of times we talk about to see how far we haven't come. And I think when you look at what's going on in the news today, tragically, there's a lot of that there. When we talk about looting, this show is all about looting. These guys are, white collar looters. And being able to do that sort of in a comedic way so that you can smuggle in that messaging, I think is one of the gifts of doing a crazy comedy like this, is that, you turn off the set and then you can kind of think like, wait a minute, was that funny? Yeah, should we be laughing about that? And that's what we always are trying to find. The tightrope is always trying to find ways to, again, smuggle those things in, but still do it under the protection of this farcical comedy.
Yeah, and I think being set in the 80s affords you guys the opportunity to have a sort of comedic look back at what's changed and maybe what hasn't changed in that time, and the lessons that have and haven't been learnt over the past, I was going to say 20 years, but it's like 40 years or something like that.
Is it 40 or is it 400? I mean,
exactly.
It's unfortunately, a very cyclical process that we see, and these sort of systematic and institutionalized events that just change their face, but at the bottom, they're always about the same things, inequality and about justice and the haves and the have-nots. And we try to, shine a ridiculous light on it and come from a place that's comedic, but we're dipping our toe into all of these issues with sexual identity and, race and feminism and obviously power dynamics, where we're talking about, the classist systems that we're dealing with. So we really, dip our toe into all of that and use it as fodder. But yes, having that perspective of 40 years or 30 years is the thing that helps us to kind of shine a light on how far we haven't come sometimes.
Yeah. And the show really, in a lot of ways, what was I going to say? I was going to ask you, Don, the question of acting is a lot about listening and learning. What's something you've learnt from playing Mo?
What not to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I don't think any of these characters are like any of the people that I know. Everybody that I work with on the show, all of these cast of characters, all of these actors that are playing these guys are great people. And I'm not saying that hyperbolically. You know, we connect off camera. These are a group of people that are my friends now, not just my workmates, and all very empathetic people, and are tied in and plugged into what's going on in the world, and are advocates for change. And all of us have causes that we join with each other to help move forward. So sometimes the best things that you can learn from the characters that you are vicariously living these crazy things through it's the cautionary tale of, you know, where not to go, what not to do,
Yeah.
how to be a better human.
Yeah.
And of course it's a comedy, so we're laughing at these guys, and we're always trying to punch up and not punch down. But that's really what these characters teach us, is like what to stay away from.
Yeah. We're an awards website at Gold Derby, and we love talking about our awards. And in 1999, you won your first Globe for the Rat Pack, which you tied with Gregory Peck, which must have been such a surreal thing to be on. Yeah, like
it was crazy. My mom was so excited. She was like, "Do you know what a big deal this is?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Mom, I'm having an award. I don't know how big of a deal it is." It was great. It was great. I was very delighted to share the stage with him and share that honor with him for sure.
Yeah, and in your acceptance speech, you said you really sort of paid tribute to those sort of on the front and the back of the call sheet, and those people sort of behind the scenes. I'm assuming that's something you still really appreciate. Do you want to say just something on that in relation to the people on the back and the front of the call sheet at Black Monday?
Well, absolutely. You know, as I said earlier, we do this show on a 5-day schedule, which is Herculean and really, really not possible to do without the crew that we have putting in the kinds of hours that they do. You know, they're there before we get there, and they're there after the actors leave, putting the show together and giving it the look that it has. And not just the crew that's on the set during the time, but also our post-production people are very gifted. We have a lot of effects that we do on the show. The music is a big part of the show. The editing, clearly, obviously, is a big part of the show. And these are all things that happen once the actors, you know, get to take their makeup off and go home. So we would not have what we have without their support and without their creativity. You know, it's a set which is very open to that. We desire people to bring themselves to it. They're not just supposed to show up and be kind of meat robots. We want people to be a part of the process, and they get to be. They've saved us many times, too many to count, where we've been in corners going, how are we going to achieve this? And, you know, the set deck will say, well, why don't we do this? Or, you know, somebody, the camera operator will go, well, if you just move it over here, we can shoot that there. And we're like, thank you, because we were stymied. So it's always them. Whenever we get any sort of accolades, to not, you know, turn around and thank them we'd be incredibly remiss.
Yeah. Well, Don, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I was able to get to the Black Monday season 1 premiere back when you had that. I was in LA at the time, and I have something that I was able to grab on my way out.
Uh-oh.
So if you like this, yeah. Oh, bumping everything.
What, a racquetball?
Yeah. The picture of Keith. So yes. There you go. We've got that behind me for most of the chats. So
it's about to fall in your head.
well, it's fine. It's all okay. So there you go. So, yeah, great work, Don. Thanks so much for chatting with us. All the best for the Emmy Awards. Hopefully you get nominated again this year. And people watching this video can go to goldderby.com, where they can make their own predictions for the Emmy. Or you can predict Don Cheadle to get an Emmy nomination at goldderby.com. Wow.